Hi everyone, it's Tom. It's FANzine Live. This is a first-person video on a Sunday Steve Willis day, which means we are looking at Steve's final contribution to the post-space 2026 first persons. By making 4 of these, we tested the limits of my cell phone, for which I used to make the videos, and discovered that the battery life could only go so long. So this 4th video for Heir the Dog is truncated. The camera actually did shut off. We were lucky enough that Steve did an overview of the table of contents off the front, talking about each of the different contributors. For about the first half of the video, you're going to get some insight from Steve. The back half of the video, it's going to tail off a little bit, but he did have stuff to say. So we're going to give you what we have. I'm editing the heck out of this video, but I think it's going to be worth it, and hopefully you do too. So thank you for watching. Thank you for your support of FANzine Live, and I really hope you enjoy this stuff from Steve Willis, because the man is a treasure. His work is amazing, and I'm just so excited to share it with you. Thanks again.
Hi, this is FANzine Live by Tom Fellrath, and he has asked me to talk about the mini comic Heir of the Dog from 1987. I'm Steve Willis. I am an independent comics publisher, and I've been doing this since 1973 in this genre of comics. And my main character that I'm hanging my hat on is Morty the Dog, and I actually drew the cover for this one in 1987. And there is Morty, although he has X's for eyes, and normally he has teardrop eyes, which we shall see anon. This book was published by Ozone Press, which is Dave Tosh in Texas. It was edited by Hal Hargett, who lived in Texas at the time, perhaps, I don't remember, but now he is in Washington State, and I think the Seattle area, and Hal and Dave are still active in the comics community to this day. This comic was created because Morty the Dog, who is independent of me, he's an annoying character that I can kill numerous times. He started in the late 70s as a background character. In 1981, in Cranium Frenzy #1, he had his own story, and at the time I did that, I was living in Seattle. I was a grad student in the University of Washington School of Librarianship and Information Science. That was not the most exciting degree to go after, and in fact, it was probably one of the most difficult and challenging academic experiences I ever had. I did not enjoy it, so I spent my time drawing comics in the back row in order to survive. In fact, they gave us a choice after 2 years. They said, okay, you can write a thesis, or you can have a test where we ask you 10 questions and you have to write a long essay on one of them. Of course, all of us took the second option. These questions would be based on our lecture notes. And when I opened my lecture notes, I discovered over half of them were cartoons, not the actual notes. And I took those cartoons and clipped them out into a massive book that I could afford to print 3 copies of. And I entitled it Assorted Thoughts on Insanity. And I actually sold one of them. That's a real rare one, and it was legal size and huge, hundreds of pages. Those were my grad school notes, but I did manage to pass the course anyway. Meanwhile, Cranium Frenzy, which has been reprinted by Tom Fellrath in 4 volumes, and probably 5 coming up, was started in that era. Morty was kind of the central character in many of the stories, but I grew sick of him after a while, and by 1987, I was ready to kill him off. I made several attempts, and they never really stuck, but this one time, I think I had a mini or a comic that Starhead Comics published called The Rise and Fall of Morty the Dog, and it was maybe about 12 or 16 pages. I did kill him off. He did die. By that time, he had a following, so they made this comic as kind of a wake for Morty. And I happily drew this cover, and boy, was I happy. I felt relief. And you can see there's quite a lineup of artists here. We've got W.C. Pope, Wayno did the back cover. See up here it says T. Ritter. I do not know the story behind that little picture up there of Morty. But it's funny, you've got this character, and it's funny to see how this character is interpreted by so many different artists. Walter Rogers. Walter Rogers lived in Pennsylvania, and he did kind of fine press comics, and his main title was Just Another 8-Page Wonder. And of course, we wonder whatever happened to Walt Rogers. He kind of disappeared from the scene, but we all loved his work, and he published a lot of our comics. He was quite innovative. Here we have Walt Rogers putting Morty in a blender, turning into a real dog. Bob Voitko, who lives up in the Cleveland area and probably one of the greatest single gag cartoonists I know. And he's so elegant with his comics composition, just a fantastic cartoonist and a really nice guy to boot. There's Voitko. This is, this drawing of Morty here, I can't tell if I did that or if Bob did that, if he took something I already drew and used it or not. That's pretty good. Rick Bradford, who lives in Texas and runs the Poop Sheet Foundation and is a real central hub for our brand of comics and a real supporter. And he has a wonderful archive of comics. It's like an online index to titles. Rick Bradford, Morty for president. Morty actually ran for mayor of McCleary, Washington, where I live, in 1999. He did not have an impact on the election outcome. I figure he got about 5% of the vote as an unregistered write-in. I did a little mini comic, spent $5 making a little mini comic as his campaign literature, and he got more press than the humans. Alan Freeman, who ran Slam Bang back in the 80s and the 90s, and he now is one of us in Washington State, where I live. In fact, I just saw Alan at a short run recently. And then there's this fold-out part here. Look at that airbrush. That looks like Alan Freeman to me. And here's one by Alan Freeman, and what he's basing this on was The Tragedy of Morty, Prince of Denmark, which was a 5-book comic I did on Hamlet. And in fact, Tom Fellrath has also reprinted that. So take a look and you can get 200 pages of Shakespeare with Morty in the role. And what Alan did here is he used a lot of the drawings. Actually, some of these look like I drew them. This is Polonius, the Polonius character. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern I called Golden Ass and Rosy Head because that's what their names mean. And I just took the real meaning. I like to think Shakespeare would have liked my version. Andy Nukes, also known as Dale Lee Couvert, also known as Mayor Dada, was a Dadaist surrealist artist. He's now in Florida. He's not active in drawing anymore, but he has quite a fan base even so. And this is Andy Nukes, and that's pretty typical of his work. I did have a lot of jams in 2025 that I worked on, and Andy was able to send me some of his own work from the past, and I was able to work it into a jam. I was really pleased to do that. I did that a couple times. His work is really wild, and it has energy and expression. Michael Hill, the great Michael Hill, who runs one of my very favorite New Wave comics, Modern Man. If there was a Jack Kerouac in our midst, it would be Mike Hill. And he is a Western Pennsylvanian who is a snowbird in Florida. In fact, I'm really hoping to see him next month. This is the end of March 2026 as I speak. And this is Modern Man. Mike Hill. I just love his work and the way he draws. If he was around during the Beat Poet days, they would have eaten this stuff up. That's what it makes me think of when I see his stuff. Jim Thompson. I do remember Jim Thompson. I don't think I interacted with him very much, but the interaction I did have was positive. Who is this? Jim Thompson. Okay. This is the Morty as part of the Kennedy assassination. I think for those of us who can remember the Kennedy assassination, I was 8 years old when President Kennedy was assassinated. And it was one of the most traumatic days I can remember in my little childhood life in the first half of the 1960s. It really impacted anybody who was around, even if you're 8 years old, can remember that day almost like it was yesterday. It was so vivid and traumatic, and the whole adult world fell apart in front of us. And I think if you talk to anybody who's like over 70 today, I bet they can remember where they were when they heard the news. Dave Tosh is who did Morty in Hell, and it's the publisher of this. He's still around. I know he's reading my stuff right now, but we haven't communicated much in the last few years. And here's Morty in Hell. Yike, 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 yike. This is Dave Tosh. I really like Dave Tosh's style. It's so clean. He has such a clean style. And there he is meeting Fritz the Cat, who I understand Crumb had to get rid of too. Matt Feazell, I just saw the last 2 days at Space here in Columbus, where I am visiting. He is definitely the king of mini-comic, and he has been very active in the past with educating kids about comics, and that's a very valuable thing to do, and he's a heck of a nice guy, and it was really fun watching him be interviewed by Bruce Crislip yesterday. And there's Matt Feazell, and he's actually drawing Morty as a full-bodied character and not a stick. And here you see Matt's address is in Raleigh, North Carolina. So that was during that period in his life. Wayno did. Look at that. I had the pleasure of meeting Wayno back in 2013 in Pittsburgh when our mutual friend Buzz Bazizik had an art show there. Matt Borders is another, kind of like Jim Thompson. I do remember Matt Borders. We haven't been in touch in a long time. Here it says Ted Bowman, but he is actually now Edward Bowman. Edward is another person that Tom Fellrath has graced with reprints. And be sure to check the Phoenix Productions website and to order a really beautiful book of a reprint of Ted's work. He has not been active in the last few years, but his work remains fresh. Jim Ryan, who was one of my favorites, no longer with us, but he was an artist who was really into surrealism and probably could articulate our new wave comics movement better than anybody I knew. And he took it very seriously as an art. He didn't feel what we were doing was trivial, and he made the rest of us feel like what we were doing was important. Jeff Gaither, an incredible artist. When he was just starting out, he was already great right out of the gate, and this was during that era. He had just shown up. He was really new to the scene when this book came out, and still around and doing incredible work as far as I can see. There's Jeff Gaither. Look at that. Sinner Spread. They gave Jeff the Sinner Spread, and he deserves it. Take a look at that. And that's when he was just starting out. I don't want to hurt this.
These things must be done delicately.
Here we go. You see all the different ways people drew Morty up. I don't remember doing this, but that lettering is definitely mine. Tom and I were looking at this, and that's definitely my lettering, so somehow I had a lot to do with it. I did the very last panel, the very last page. There's Bowman's work. There's Mike Hill, I recognize him. There's Jim Ryan. Some of these people, and there's definitely Brad Foster. That pointillism there, that's definitely Brad. But some of these people I don't recognize right off. I can't tell. And then Brad W. Foster. We have jammed in several occasions, and I think our first jam was called One Normal Guy Talking with a Nut, and I think we all know who the nut is. So that's the lineup in this book. There's Tammy Faye and Jim Baker. I don't know if you remember them. That was a fun time. Jim Baker was a cellmate of Lyndon LaRouche, and he said that LaRouche surprisingly knew his Bible up and down. That was kind of interesting here.